A lot of people in this room have never met either of us, so my name is Dr. Dan Moynihan, one of the chiropractors at Planet Chiropractic. Today is the Happy Hormones Maximize Living Experience. Raise your hand if you've been to an experience before like this, one of our events. So most everybody in the room. How about 10 experiences? Keep your hands up. There's a couple. If we miss anything, let me know. I'm just kidding. And as you guys know, we're always bringing out new research, new information, new protocols. We're constantly changing with everything new we find out. So today's going to be a little different. We're obviously going through hormones. Everyone in the room, you have hormones, men included. Everyone tends to think women are the only ones that have hormone problems. Not true. Most men do as well. So our goal today is we need to create a new paradigm, a new belief system, a new way of looking at things. And the reason I say that is, how many have ever had a hormone test done? How many people have woken up tired, their energy levels are low, sex drives decrease? You don't have to put your hands up. Sex drives decrease, right? You're not feeling the way you're meant to feel. You go into the doctor, you say something's wrong, I have no energy, I can't sleep, or I sleep and I wake up tired, on and on and on. They run the blood test and then they say, everything looks fine, right? So this is what we're here, creating a new paradigm, because clearly everything's not fine. Otherwise you wouldn't be feeling that way. So we have to go through and show you guys what to look for, what are the warning signs, more importantly, what to test specifically, what to measure, and then most importantly is what to actually fix, where to intervene, and how to do it. So number 2 is we're going to show you guys how hormones work, where they're made. I mean, the good news is you don't need to know most of this because your body is in charge of it, but we're going to give you an understanding of which hormones are correlating to what symptomatology, and then what action steps to take, and why they're out of balance, more importantly. And then the most important thing we'll do today is show you guys, step by step, here's what you need to do to get your life back on track, to get your energy back, to get your immune system back to where it should be, to get your sleep cycles back, to get your sex drives, your hormones, reproductives back, to get everything back to the way it should be. I'm going to read you a testimony here. It's an amazing story. We have amazing stories all over the room. Those of you guys that are guests in here have never been to our office, never seen what we do. Whoever brought you here today already has an amazing story. Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought you here. But this is just one of them. So this is Therese, came into the office about 1.5 years ago with her husband, chronic fatigue, and a lot of you guys can relate, tired at work, no energy throughout the day, high anxiety levels, very high anxiety, constantly feeling stressed, interrupted sleep. Hormones were a mess for about 10 years. This is going on 10 years. Went to the psychologist for the anxiety, got on what? Medications. Went to the primary doctor, got on what? More medications. Couldn't focus, no energy, falling asleep at her desk, came home from work, would crash. And since she says I'm here, it was getting to the point where it's affecting my relationships with her husband, with her friends, with her family. I know a lot of you can relate. Since starting care in the office, so what we did is, step 1, and you'll see we go through all this today, is step 1 is we do a full examination of her nervous system, which, as you guys will find out, or some of you already know, obviously, controls and runs all of these hormone systems, and anxiety levels, and stress response. So first we start checking the nervous system, start correcting problems there. Number 2, she starts working with Dr. Moss on the metabolics program, where we are addressing liver issues, gut issues that are causing some of these hormone instabilities and imbalances. So then we start getting to work, she gets to work, does what we say. The best I've felt since college. So this is 10 years reversal. Energy all day long, I don't crash, I'm more relaxed, I don't get overwhelmed easily, my mental clarity and focus have improved greatly, and she just says, amazing, I feel so much better. I mean, this is an amazing story of someone who was going this way, fatigued, affecting her marriage, couldn't work, to now somebody back to where she should be again. And this is the point of today, is we're going to show you guys exactly what it takes to do that in your own life, exactly the steps to take and how to pull that off. So here's how it works. Your body has intensely complicated communication systems set up to run and control all of this. It's synced into whether the sun's up, whether the sun's down, whether you're stressed out or whether you're not, whether you're hungry, whether all of this is controlled in here. So the way it works is, and these are all the endocrine glands, hypothalamus, pituitary, the pineal gland, the thyroid, parathyroid glands, all 4 of those on there. We have the adrenals, 2 adrenal glands, also known as the suprarenals, pancreas, ovaries, the testicles. These are all the hormones these are all the organs that are releasing hormones in the bloodstream. This used to be called the endocrine system. So this is actually out of date. It's now called the neuroimmune endocrine system. meaning you cannot separate neurology, immunology, and endocrinology from one another because they're all completely interconnected through, through the nervous system. So the way this whole system works is your brain all day is taking in information, sending that information down the spinal cord, out through the peripheral nervous system to all of these effector organs, the adrenals, the testes, the ovaries, on and on, all the end sites, the endocrine glands. Those glands release hormones that go out into the bloodstream and affect the cells, which affect the physiology, what's happening in your blood, what's happening in your cells, what nutrients are being absorbed, how is your brain thinking, how is your clarity, how is your sleep. That's how it all works. And then the same thing happens is information comes into the brain responds, affects the body again. And that's how it works all day. And it's a cycle, so they're inseparable. Hormones are going to influence neurology, neurology influences hormones, and it's cyclical. So the only way we can change it is by looking at the two systems together. Does that make sense? Everybody follows that? You cannot separate them. You cannot just take a supplement and fix your hormones without looking at your nervous system. And that's where a lot of you run into trouble. I tried the melatonin, it's not working. I tried the workouts, it's not working. I tried losing weight, it's not working. I tried changing my diet, it's not working. You have an underlying neurology disorder. And so that's what we're going to get into today and how to explain that. And then I want to bring up today, this is Dr. Majors. We have all three of his best-selling books up here. All of you guys have had your lives changed by him, so welcome him up with a round of applause.
So what's interesting about this, I'm going to turn it down, I'm really loud. I can use, mic also. I can go down.
Here, keep talking.
Is that better now? Is that better? I'm going to speak. Okay. So what's interesting is, instead of a doctor figuring out, remember, the best doctor, you always know you're in the right doctor's office when that doctor is trying to get you off drugs the rest of your life instead of putting you on drugs. You guys have heard that before. The best doctor, when you walk in their office, should be trying to get you off drugs the rest of your life, not trying to put you on. So this is kind of a funny art joke here, but it's like, because people are like, I don't want to take drugs anymore. Well, instead of taking 20 drugs, we'll just put it all in one. And that's what it would be like, is taking your 30 drugs and putting it into one huge drug. Drugs will never heal you. Drugs will never fix you. We're not against medication. There's a time and there's a place for drugs, thank God. It's there to save your life in a crisis. But what is a doctor's job? If your hormones are off and you just can't function, let's say you're severely depressed and you may kill yourself. Absolutely, let's give them some Prozac or whatever temporarily until we can figure out how to get to what? Get to the cause of that and then pull you off of those medications. Everybody get that? We're not against it. There's a time and a place. Well, you're here tonight for one reason. We need to figure out, number one, how to never end up on a drug for some of you. For some of you, we need to get you off it. In the 16 years I've been doing this, I've never seen someone who wanted to come off medications not come off. Now, some people they're missing their thyroid, but instead of using a medication, we can use something more natural, right? So in most cases, you can come off of almost everything working with your doctor, because you're going to realize is once you get to the cause, the body begins to heal that. So what are hormones? Since we're talking about hormones tonight, we're going to be really simple. I've done seminars where I've gone so in depth. I've taught lots of doctors before, chiropractors, different people have gone really in depth. I've gone in depth with you, sometimes too much. You guys are telling me it's too much. So I'm going to keep it pretty simple. Hormones are nothing more than messengers. They tell the cells what to do. That's it. They're just messengers. Remember, think of them as messengers. They're released from an endocrine gland, and they tell a cell what to do. So that's all they are. And so they tell it to grow, to develop, right? So when you were 13, 14 years old, women, or 12 years old, and some of you now when you're 8 and 9, your body starts producing more what? Estrogen. It's a hormone which tells your breasts to do what? To start to grow, right? So hormones are there to tell our body what to do. They're messengers. Metabolism. So hormones, our thyroid is responsible for metabolism. And metabolism is how we get our energy. We're going to talk about the thyroid tonight. Sexual function. In order for you, anything, when it comes to function, it's all hormones. When hormones are off, everything's off in the body. Reproduction. You can't have a child if your hormones are off. Your mood, anxieties, depression, all based on one thing. Hormones, hormones, hormones. So this is probably, I always say our biggest seminar of the year is our cancer killers coming up, but This is close to it. Most of you know that we can only have about 225 here with 308 registered. We had closed registration at 225. You guys kept calling us. So there are people probably waiting outside of it still. So hormones are powerful, and it only takes a little bit of hormones to do a lot. So just remember that. It only takes a little bit of hormones. So let's talk about which hormones we're talking about tonight. We're only going to talk about a few. There are a lot. We're talking about estrogen, testosterone, thyroid, and cortisol. So estrogen is the prime hormone for females. Right? Estrogen tells the cells what to do. It tells the cells to grow. During your menstrual cycle, it tells the uterine lining to grow thicker and get ready to carry a baby. So estrogen is very important, very important. So it can make us feel amazing, or it can make us feel horrible. So estrogen too high is very, very, very dangerous, and estrogen too low is very, very, very dangerous. We're going to talk about that today. Testosterone, obviously, women have it as well, but mainly that's what differentiates a man from a woman. We have more testosterone. And then thyroid, we're going to talk about thyroid, real important. So we've broken it down pretty much into 4 categories today. We're going to go through a lot. Cortisol, all of these, remember what Dr. Dan said, they all affect each other. Does that make sense? When one is up, one is down, one is down, one is up, one is over. You can't try to fix your thyroid and not think you're not. If you're trying to fix your thyroid and you don't fix your gut, you're not fixing your thyroid. If you don't fix your liver, you don't fix your thyroid. If you don't fix your liver, you don't fix your estrogen and your hormones. So if you go to a medical doctor, medicine are mechanical thinkers. What that means is that there's a mechanistic viewpoint. And that's why doctors are so off when it comes to medical doctors. And nurses too, sorry, I'm not picking on you, you're there for crisis. If my heart shuts down when I go to a medical doctor, where should they look? At my heart, absolutely. If I went to a mechanic and my engine was shot, where do they look? They look at the engine, it's called mechanical. So most doctors work in a mechanistic. They went and studied ENT. What do they study? Ear, nose, and throat. They went and studied the feet. They went and studied the hand. They went and studied the brain. But nobody studies it all together. That's the problem. Look at an oncologist who only studies what? He studies the after you have cancer. Never ever study once how did you get it. It's not their job. They study after the fact. It's a mechanistic viewpoint and necessary at times. But we want to look at a holistic viewpoint. The whole body works together. Everybody get that? The whole body works together. And you can't, if you think you're going to fix one thing without fixing another, it's impossible. You know, somebody always comes to us, you know, like Therese. You know, you can take all the supplements you want. We can give you all the hormonal balancing you want. Put you on progesterone creams. But until you fix your nervous system, brain, spinal cord, nerves, the only way your thyroid works is your brain has to send a message to the nervous system. Nothing matters. Okay, so let's talk about the key to making hormones. I'm not gonna. You guys seen some of this different stuff before, but every hormone is synthesized in your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands are about right here. Everybody get that? Those are your adrenal glands. And almost all of our hormones are synthesized there, which means they're made there. So they're made there in the adrenal glands. In order then for our body to make, so what happens is our brain sees that we need more estrogen. It has to produce more estrogen. It produces estrogen in the adrenals as well. Estrogen, in order to make estrogen, what's the first thing it has to bind to? What do you have to have first? Cholesterol. If you have low cholesterol, men or women, because they put you on cholesterol drugs, guess what you cannot make ever again? What can't you make? Estrogen. You can't make any hormone. Let me say that again. If you're on a cholesterol-lowering drug and you have low cholesterol, that's why we know low cholesterol causes all kinds of diseases now, cancers, everything, because you cannot make a hormone without what? Cholesterol. So what happens, men, as you get older, what goes lower, men, all the time? Your testosterone. So what do you think your body has to produce more of to make more? So men, your testosterone is going low as you get older. What is your body going to have to produce more of? Cholesterol. But instead you go to the doctor and he says, oh, you're going to have a heart attack, let's lower your cholesterol. Now you're a mess for the rest of your life. You're miserable. Your brain's made of cholesterol. Every cell of your body is made of cholesterol. It's an insanity. It's going to be looked at like like the way they looked at, putting holes in people's head and getting spirits out years ago. It's the same thing. You can't lower cholesterol. Cholesterol is not why you have a heart attack. Why do we have heart attacks? Because of what? Inflammation of cholesterol, low or high, doesn't matter. Now, you're right. If you have high cholesterol and high inflammation, you're in trouble. So you just lower your cholesterol, it may temporarily buy you some time. We need to get to the causes of it. You can't just lower cholesterol. Because all your hormones start with cholesterol to make pregnenolone, then you begin to produce all your hormones. Everybody sees that. So so part of your diet has to include what in it? It's very simple. If you're not eating healthy fats, you get very, very, very sick. Very sick. You need healthy fat. What's 80% of breast milk made out of? Healthy fat. God knew what he was doing because he's trying to get the body ready with all the hormones. We're supposed to have fat throughout our life. Healthy fats. So and I like talking about essential fatty acids here. These are EFAs, and a lot of people, I want to talk about that because people don't know what EFAs are. They're called essential fatty acids, which mean our body, they're essential for our body, but you can't make them. You have to get them from where? You have to get them from the outside. You have to. So that's why you hear people taking a lot of fish oils. You hear people taking krill oil. You hear taking different oils. The problem is fish oil is just an omega-3 oil. Omega-3s help to lower inflammation. But if you're taking too many omega-3s, you need inflammation for what? For part of your immune system. If I give you enough fish oil, that's why they tell you before you go to surgery, get off fish oil, right? Why? Because if you're lowering inflammation, your body can't protect you during surgery. And so if somebody is taking too much fish oil, it's counterproductive. If somebody's taking too much krill, it's counterproductive. When you're taking an EFA or essential fatty acids, it has to be in the right ratios, which is a 2-to-1 to 4-to-1 ratio. I know it's going to get complicated there, but that's what optimal omega is. Everybody's like, well, why are you guys so critical on this ratio? Because if you don't have the right ratio of fats, you don't produce enough of the hormone. You're either lowering inflammation, you're raising inflammation. Omega-6s are considered a bad fat. They raise inflammation. They raise it. And here's why a lot of people just take fish oil, because most of your diets are just omega-6s. That's it. The average, not in this room, the average American is about a 60-to-1 ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s. That means that everybody's inflaming. What's the #1 cause of every cancer and every disease? Inflammation. So it's a major cause of every disease. So that's why everybody just keeps pumping in all these omega-3s. We got to get it in a ratio. So let's talk about adrenals. I know Dr. Dan, we're going to like quote this, but we really got to touch on the adrenals here. Adrenal burnout is so common in America right now, where you're getting tired at around, how many of you, honestly, by noon you're getting tired, or 4 o'clock you guys are tired? You're on your way home from work, or you're just like, maybe you go, I thought I was just bored or something. No, where you literally could go to sleep. That is your adrenals. Your adrenals, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, so most of you guys, and this is like Teresa's story, the way it happens in the chronology is you start with a stress response. So we're going to step back and go through a little bit of the stress response. Your adrenals are your stress hormone. Stress is not a bad thing in the right amounts. So who works out, lifts weights, does anything like that? That's a stress. You apply stress to the body does what? Responds and strengthens. Make sense? Now, let's say I take you, I make you work out 12 hours a day, I never let you heal, I never let you rest. Does he ever get stronger and recover from the workout? No. Now stress becomes a bad thing. So the way this works is, stress comes in and affects the body. The body responds appropriately every single time. The problem is, and the trouble we get into, is we move into what's called allostasis, or adaptive physiology. And so here's how it works. I'm going to go through this really quickly, really simply. When you're chased by a tiger, you have a response. It's called the fight or flight. Everyone's heard of fight or flight, right? Here's how it works. You move your physiology, your blood pressure, your immune system, your digestion, your focus, all that stuff changes instantly. Just like if we lock the door and set this room on fire, everyone would experience it. What happens
everyone would have high blood pressure.
Everyone would have high blood pressure.
If we brought a nurse in here, or a doctor, they want to put you on drugs. But is your body adapting to the stress I put you under, or is that genetic? It's adapting.
Technically.
Everything's adaptive.
But so this is what we're talking about is when you're under a chronic, so when you escape the tiger and jump up in a tree, what happens to your blood pressure? You know, take a nap after that, right? That's how it's supposed to happen. We have a short burst of stress, we relieve the stressor, and our physiology returns back to normal. Now, fast forward to modern life, even though our genetics are programmed differently, we live in a chronic stress response because too much of a bad thing is a stress, and too little of a good thing is a stress. So if you have too much omega-6 and not enough omega-3, that is a chronic stressor on your body. Does everybody follow me? Because your body is trying to run with something it doesn't have. It needs it and it doesn't have it. Too much of a bad thing. If I make you smoke cigarettes, how many cigarettes do we need to live a long, healthy life? 0. So one of them is too much. It's a toxicity. If I make you do it the rest of your life, your body will adapt chronically to it, and it'll wear down on the body. Does that make sense? So that's technically called adaptive physiology or allostasis. The longer you spend over here in adaptive physiology, the shorter you're going to live, the sicker you're going to be because it's more damage and wear and tear you're causing your body to respond to. Does that make sense? So the whole goal of what we're teaching you today is most of you are living in allostasis, in this adaptive physiology, your whole life. And now we need to start moving you over here by taking some of these toxicities away, taking some of these toxicities, adding in some of the things your body needs and move you back over to here. And guess what will happen? Your body will work better or worse? Better. And guess what happens to all the symptoms which come from being in this adaptive stress response all the time? They start to go away. When we take you out of the burning room, what happens to your blood pressure? So we can either leave you in the burning room and tape it up with either natural or drugs, right? And lower your blood pressure, or we can take you out of the burning room and watch your blood pressure go down. So that's what we're talking about. Adrenals are kind of the pilot of this. The nervous system and the adrenals. The adrenals are the effector that makes this happen. So what happens is when you work them and work them and work them and work them, you have to create a hormone called cortisol. Who's heard of cortisol? Everyone knows cortisol. Why? Guess what? What's the number one thing everyone thinks of with cortisol? Say it. What was it? Belly fat. Belly fat. Which is a chronic adaptive response to high cortisol levels. That was good. So when you're making cortisol constantly, your adrenals eventually fatigue. And what they do is they have to steal progesterone actually to make it. So we won't get too far into it, but what we're showing you is this. The adrenal glands have a job to do. They contribute to 35% of hormones in women premenopausally and 50% postmenopausal. This is huge.
That's huge right there.
Now slow down here.
Because what do most of you think? Well, the reason I'm in menopause is because what happens? My ovaries are done, so I can't make blood anymore. But what gland starts making it? Your adrenals do. So when you're young, your ovaries are making most of your estrogen, and when you're young, your adrenals are making a little bit of estrogen. But as you get older, the body's so smart in God's wisdom, and He started creating so your adrenals start making the estrogen, and now your ovaries are done. But here's what happens. What do you guys do all day long? As Dan said, you've drained out all your cortisol, so guess what you can't make anymore? Estrogen, so now you go into what? Now you go into menopause.
So that's what's happening when people say, oh, I have horrible menopause symptoms, and they're talking to another lady who's like, I didn't have any. That's the difference. One has adrenal fatigue, one doesn't. That's the difference. So we're going to show you how to reverse some of this later on with the protocols and the detox, but that's what's supposed to happen. Without properly functioning adrenals, you cannot get pregnant. You cannot get pregnant without properly, and guess why? Is your body, and everything's grouped into these two categories. And we'll get into some of this a little bit today. You guys will look at this and be able to use this daily, literally, when evaluating health choices in your lifestyle. Something's either going to be a stress response or a rest, relax, digest, parasympathetic response over here. So what happens is I'm being chased by a tiger. What's going to happen to my blood pressure? Goes up. Why? I need oxygen in my muscles to run. What's going to happen to my digestion when I'm being chased by a tiger? Is it going to be more efficient, or is it going to slow down? It's going to slow down. Why? Because the body doesn't care. If I get eaten by a tiger, who cares if I absorb my nutrients? I guess if you're being considerate of the tiger, you leave some for the tiger. But so does that make sense? What's going to happen to your immune system? Your white blood cells, lymphocytes, all these. Is it going to go up and increase or slow down? It's going to slow down. Why?
For 1 minute of stress,
A blood cell.
Your immune system's shutting down for up to 8 hours for every 1 minute of stress. Why? Because
your white blood cell cannot save you from a tiger.
You constrict your blood vessels when you stress. Yes? So blood can't get through there. White blood cells, the immune system can't get through there. That's why when I'm looking at a cancer patient, I'm like, I mean, unless we get rid of the stress response, you're not getting through your cancer. It's not possible. I can give you all the drugs you want, all the supplements you want, everything else. If you don't fix the stress response, you're in trouble. Then we talk about pregnancy. I don't know how many women come to us because they're not getting pregnant, and I'll say, well, did your doctor check your adrenals yet? And guess how many say, they all say what? Never checked it before.
Do you think it's easier or harder to get pregnant when you're stressed? Do you think your body wants to conceive a child and grow a child for 9 months when you're running from a tiger? No.
So if you don't fix the adrenals, they can give you all the drugs you want, all the in vitro and everything you want. Until you fix the adrenals, you can't get pregnant naturally.
So that's how the adrenals, and they are the major controller of the thyroid. Why? The thyroid controls basal metabolism, and guess what happens when you're, so you guys understand cortisol comes from the adrenal glands. That's the main effector of the stress response. So the adrenals release cortisol into the blood, and it tells all these organs what to do and how to act. It says, hey, just so you guys know, we're under attack, act this way. Make sense? So the thyroid is going to behave differently in a stress response than it will in normal homeostatic equilibrium over here. You guys are following all this stuff? So this is just so you know. Fight or flight, and this is what we just went through. I guess a bear instead of a tiger. Bears are a little slower, less intimidating, less stress response. Unless you're sleeping. But this is what happens with adrenal burnout is you end up eating up, you only have so much cholesterol, so much pregnenolone, so much progesterone to use to make hormones all day. If you're using most of it to make cortisol, you're not going to have much left. So your body says, listen, we cannot keep making cortisol at this level, and you end up having low cortisol. And so we'll talk to you guys about testing and how to measure that.
What does the body want to do? Does it want to make hormones in this moment, or does it want to save your life? Does it save your life? So it's going to produce more cortisol than it is going to produce all the other hormones.
So it becomes a major issue. And what happens, like we went through with Therese, is you're going to have a period where you're fine. Then you're going to have a period where you have this energetic fatigue simultaneously. Has anyone ever experienced that kind of thing? Like you're wired, but you're half asleep kind of thing? And that sensation is the beginning of adrenal fatigue. It's when your cortisol level is chronically elevated. After that, you enter a phase like when we met Therese, where she's exhausted, can't do anything, can't move, and that's true adrenal fatigue. And when we get into some of the blood testing and things like that, when you run a salivary cortisol test, a normal cortisol level will be elevated in the morning, about 30 to 45 minutes after you wake up, will drop throughout the day, have a little bit of a spike here, and then drop again so you can go to sleep at night. That's a normal test. What we see in adrenal fatigue from this chronic fight or flight, this adaptive allostasis is, it never goes up and stays like this. You're not making it anymore. So that's how it works. And what happens is when you have no cortisol, cortisol also downregulates insulin receptors. Meaning your cells have these little sites on them that allow insulin to bring sugar into the cells. Make sense? They're like little doors. You guys can picture that? So if we have 10 doors to let sugar in, we're going to let more sugar in. Cortisol gets rid of these doors. It'll bring it down to 2 or 3 doors. So you cannot bring sugar into the blood, into the cell as fast from the blood. So what happens? Sugar stays in the blood longer. What's that called? Diabetes.
Which causes what? Inflammation, which causes cancers, which causes every disease process there is.
Chronic inflammation.
Everything comes together. Does everybody get that again? Like you start getting blown away. It's like if you don't fix adrenals, you can. I mean, I'll have to get a cancer patient in. You don't fix your adrenals, you're not fixing cancer. You guys see that? You don't fix your adrenals, you're not fixing your thyroid. You don't fix adrenals, you're not getting your hormones. You don't fix your adrenals, you don't. That's why we started. That's why we started here.
These are all the symptoms he's listing. You store more fat. Why? Because you have more sugar in the blood all the time. High blood pressure. Why? Because you're under a chronic stress response. Impaired glucose metabolism, meaning you leave sugar in the blood too long, the cells can't absorb it and get rid of it. Thyroid function decreases, and we know, based on research, cortisol literally downregulates the immune system through cytokines. It actually tells the immune system, slow down, we don't need you right now. Who wants that? No one. And that's, you go back to cancers. Who wants to decrease the immune system with cancer? Those are the same thing. So depletion of essential B vitamins as well, and this is through turnover by using and producing all these effects in the body, that lowers serotonin and dopamine. Who knows what serotonin and dopamine do? Dopamine is the ultimate feel-good linked to behavior. So those of you guys that have certain habits and addictions and little things you do at home, I can't give this up, I can't change it. It's because when you do it, dopamine's released. Dopamine makes you enjoy what you're doing. Serotonin is also a feel-good hormone, which is also, it's decreased in people with what? Depression, anxiety issues. So do you think that having a stressed out, increased cortisol and fatigued adrenal glands can lead to depression? Absolutely. And we're just seeing it
Where
right
is
here.
95% of all serotonin made? Does anybody know? The gut.
Gut.
Where does your doctor tell you or think it's made? The brain. They give you all the brain drugs. You gotta fix the gut. Whatever affects the gut affects the brain. Whatever affects the gut affects the brain. Fix the gut, you fix that. You raise a kid with ADD, ADHD, maybe somebody depressed from, not because they had a death in the family type of depression, but somebody whose serotonin is really low. You can either take a drug which uptakes serotonin, called the serotonin uptake inhibitors, or you can start making more serotonin. The problem with it, if anybody's ever been on a serotonin uptake inhibitor, Prozac or anything, they don't work very long. Why? Because you don't have much serotonin because you're not making it. So none of those drugs work. They put you on 2 drugs, 3 drugs, 4 drugs, nothing happens. You've got to start making serotonin again. You got to fix the adrenals, you got to fix the gut, fix the digestion.
And the drugs just try to maintain the level of serotonin. It keeps it in the synapse longer. That's what the SSRIs do. So if you're already low in it, it's not going to help you much. And when he says gut, we mean the intestines. He's joking with me like, we mean the intestines. Not your beer gut. It's different. Beer gut makes no serotonin. We'll get into that beer gut in a little bit. So here's the anatomy. Not that you need to know a ton of this stuff, but the adrenals sit on top of the kidneys. The biggest thing I want to point out to you guys, and this is the most important thing we can talk about, the adrenal medulla, which is what's producing this, is producing adrenaline and noradrenaline, also known as epinephrine, norepinephrine, but these cells are actually, they're called a sympathetic ganglion, meaning the nerves that activate the medulla come directly from the spinal cord onto the medulla, which is very rare to see in the body. Normally they come off the spinal cord, they form these little bundles called ganglia, and then they spread out again. So there's like little control centers. The spinal cord from T5 to T11, so right in your mid-low back right here, directly affects the medulla of your adrenal. So this is why we spend so much time running heat scans and checking the lower back. And this is why we start looking at all this, because the brain tells the adrenals what to do, when to do it, and how much to do it. And then the organ is the warehouse that makes it and spits it out. Make sense? This is the warehouse. It's just a bunch of cells that do what they're told. You guys follow me? So we'll get into in a second what's called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which is how your brain communicates down to the adrenal glands and says what to do. That is directly correlated with the stress response. So I'm going to try to tie this together for you really quickly, but when I'm over here being chased by a tiger, I'm revving up the engine, working the hypothalamic pituitary HPA axis, telling my body to make more cortisol, we're stressed out. The number one way to calm that response down, the number one way, this has all been studied, is through movement, through mechanoreception, which is the sensation of movement to the brain. So what happens during an adjustment, and this is amazing, is when you move the spine, it sends through these little motion receptors you have all over your body. So just like you can close your eyes and touch your nose, that's through these motion receptors, called mechanoreceptors or proprioceptors. When you move them, they fire to the brain, and then they go up to the amygdala and calm down this HPA axis and say, everything's okay, calm down. That's why after exercise you feel good. That's why you get better sleep after exercise. That's why people lose weight after exercise, because it decreases fat storage, it increases thyroid function, decreases the stress response, increases immunity. So the whole point of the adjustment, and when we talk about the adrenals, is we need to calm down this constant bombardment on the adrenals, which is coming number one from stress. One of the stresses is bad spinal motion. So if I'm walking around like this all day, I'm sending what's called nociception, pain to the brain, saying we're in a stress response. You see what I mean? Sitting you guys down for an hour and a half is a stress response on the body, so we apologize. But that's why you gotta get up and move tonight. So as we tie this together, there's another way you can reduce cortisol levels in the blood. And this is not a drug, this is not cheating, that everyone's like, oh, is this cheating? This doesn't mean you should work 12 extra hours a night and then just take this supplement, but it works like that. Green coffee bean extract is known to help reduce blood sugar levels and increase lean body mass. So that's where if you take some of the sugar out, again, elevated glucose is what? Is it stressful or is it happy? It's stressful. So it helps bring sugar out and decrease the glucose and all the fat storage. And then more importantly, this contains ashwagandha, which is an herbal. It's an adaptogenic herb that reduces cortisol by up to 25%.
You guys know what adaptogenic herbs are? Adaptogenic herbs they're smart herbs. Kind of like medicinal mushrooms. How many of you heard of medicinal mushrooms? That's in our Max Greens. We put it in our Max Greens. Because some people are, because medicinal mushrooms are known to stimulate an immune response. But they're adaptogenic, which means it can stimulate it if your body needs it, or it can lower it if your body needs it. They're smart. Same with ashwagandha. If you're some people take ashwagandha in the morning and it spikes up their cortisol. They take the same ashwagandha at night, it lowers their cortisol. They're called smart herbs. So that's why we put it in Max Fit.
And that's huge what you're saying, because how many have taken Max Fit? There's a bunch of people I don't know, but Max Fit is, you can use it to reduce the blood sugar, it helps you lose weight, it also helps reduce cortisol. The way you take it, and the real true way is through testing. We can monitor your cortisol levels and help you and guide you, but generally speaking, you want to take it at lunch and dinner time. You want to avoid taking it in the morning because you want that higher cortisol in the morning. Now, like you said, it's adaptogenic, so it can help increase cortisol as well when necessary, when the body, but most of you need that high cortisol in the morning, and then you need to lower it throughout the day. So people with sleep issues, can't calm down at night, you're wired till 2 in the morning, that's the Max Fit is what you need, and you need to add it at lunchtime and at dinner to start bringing cortisol out of the blood so it lowers at night and you can go to sleep.
Well, the reason why how many are on Max Fit? There's a lot of people on Max Fit. The reason why you guys are losing weight pretty quickly, and some of you are working out, some of you aren't, I know you aren't, but the reason why you're losing weight pretty quickly is just because when we drop cortisol, what happens is the body now can start to burn its fat again. Because remember, when you're in stress, the body doesn't care about burning fat. But when your body's stress levels are low, your body can go back to fat burning again. That's why they call it Max Fit. It's not. It's a cortisol reducer. But if they put cortisol reducer, nobody would want it. So adrenal fatigue, which Dr. Dan talked about. Number one, one of the protocols. Yeah, you got to get adjusted. Most of you know right away. We adjust you, spikes up your adrenals. Sometimes it'll lower your adrenals.
How many people have been adjusted, went home, and slept like a brick? Raise your hand. This is why. This is why.
And I tell you that, it depends on where we're going to adjust you, and I go, you're going to sleep really well tonight. You're like, oh my God, I haven't slept this well in 17 days. That's because especially when we get up in the upper cervical, start working on the sympathetic, parasympathetic. So, no caffeine, sorry. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. You guys are going to find out how caffeine is destroying your adrenals. Sorry, I skipped this one. You guys are going to learn that. Yeah. Advanced plant eating, we're going to talk about that. Obviously, we're going to talk about sugar. Sugar is one of the main causes of why your adrenals are just firing up all the time. What it's doing. Max Fit, take Max Fit daily, and then 8 hours of sleep, midday rest. When we say midday rest, I don't mean you have to go meditate every day for an hour. It's very good. The reason you guys can see why meditation, especially for my cancer patients. I don't think I've missed a morning in I don't know how long, even if it's 5 or 6 or 7 minutes of meditation. So, move it up.
And while you're asleep as well is when you metabolize cortisol. It's when you get rid of it, while you're sleeping.
So your body's able to rest and flushes it out.
That's the best time.
Okay, so let's talk about estrogen dominance. So we've talked about, obviously, number one, adrenals. And you guys understand the importance of adrenals. If you don't fix your adrenals, nothing matters. Next, we talk about estrogen. The problem with estrogen dominance is we didn't have this problem 40 years ago, 30 years ago, like we do now. Hormonal cancers are the fastest growing cancers in the world right now. My 4th book coming out, being released soon, is all on hormonal cancers, reversing hormonal cancers, going through all the testing, why you don't guess and why you test. Because it's the fastest growing cancer, whether it's prostate in men, whether it's breast, whether it's ovarian. We're also seeing a hormonal connection to lung cancers. We're seeing a hormonal connection to colon cancers now. Now, because when I run all the right testing, whether it be colon, whether it be lung, we're finding a major issue with estrogen dominance. So again, just because somebody does, say, well, I don't have I don't have hormonal breast cancer. Why are you running a hormone panel? Because there are so many hormones are being affected. So what does it cause? Irritability, anxiety, hot flashes, insomnia, weight gain, migraines, depression. I mean, we probably see these every single day coming into our office. These are estrogen dominant. So what's estrogen? Very important. So it's produced by the ovaries. Most of you know that. But in lesser amounts by the adrenals, and even men, we produce some estrogen. Not a lot, but we produce some. Estrogen regulates the menstrual cycle. It promotes cell division. This is what you guys got to understand. It promotes cell division, which means it tells the cells to do what? Divide and grow. What other disease is cells dividing and growing? Cancer. So that's why an excess of estrogen with a depletion of progesterone is one of the major causes of hormonal cancers. Progesterone is antagonist, so it's like the teeter-totter. So when estrogen is high and progesterone is low, you are in trouble and you're headed toward cancer, you're headed toward disease. That's why you have ovarian cysts. That's why your menstrual cycles are a mess. That's why your breasts are tender all the time. That's why that is too much estrogen and not enough progesterone. Progesterone relaxes and estrogen builds. Just remember it, guys. That's an easy way to remember it. Progesterone relaxes and estrogen builds. They have to be in ratio. We run a test, it's called PGE2 ratio, which is, there's not one estrogen, just so you guys know that. There's a lot of estrogens, but there's E1, E2, E3. We run a panel that Dr. Moss does, it's called PGE2 ratio, which tells us the ratio. E2 is kind of your estrogen, which really promotes cell division. And if this is too low, PG versus E2, you're headed toward cancer. So I can check somebody 10 years and go, if you don't get that fixed. Remember, when does cancer start? Does it start when you're 45 and you get your diagnosis? Or does it start when you're 27 you started getting a little bit of cyst, your breasts were bad, they put you on birth control pills, right? So cancer doesn't start the day you're diagnosed or even a month before that. You've been sick for years, then you get cancers. So it causes your uterus to increase in size. That's why you come to me with uterine cancer, or you come to me with a cyst. What happens every time? They have too much what? Because the estrogen is high all the time, and so the uterine lining says, I'm supposed to grow, I'm supposed to grow, I'm supposed to grow. The breasts say, I'm supposed to grow, I'm supposed to grow. The prostate in men say, I'm supposed to grow, I'm supposed to grow, and it creates all this massive inflammation in there. So during puberty, it increases 20-fold. You're like, wait a minute, then why don't 13-year-olds and why don't boys get cancer when they're 13 and girls get breast cancer? Because their progesterone is counterbalancing this. Right? Their hormones are all in balance, so they don't end up getting cancers. What we're seeing now, more than anything, we never see breast cancer in someone who is 60 years old. We're seeing it in people with 60s and 70s, hormone positive, estrogen positive. But at 70, how many women do you think you have on a lot of estrogen at 70? You do. You didn't even know that. Right? Because your doctor assumes you don't make any estrogen. And they're absolutely incorrect. So we're going to talk about that. So estrogen increases your mood, it makes you feel, it does make you feel good. There's no question. So a lot is wrong, too little is bad because you feel horrible. We got to get everything back into balance, homeostasis. So long term, when you have estrogen dominance at a long term, you end up with breast and uterine cancer, cysts, gallbladder. Most people don't realize your gallbladder is affected by estrogen. So when you come to the gallbladder issue, we had two people today, we have to get rid of estrogen dominance first. We got to bring down estrogen. That's most of the time why you're getting these issues. Thyroid problems, yeast overgrowth, osteoporosis, right? That's why when women have osteoporosis, they'll put them on pills, they'll put them on progesterone, they'll put them on different hormones, right? And so, but why? So here's, and a lot of you understand or don't. The reason why we have so much more estrogen dominance, and I'm not talking about just women, it's men. It's men as well as women. Men, when your estrogen goes too high, what goes too low? Testosterone, because remember, they're counterbalanced. So when your testosterone is high enough, your estrogen is low enough that you feel like a man. But when your estrogen keeps getting higher and higher and higher as a man, your testosterone drops to nothing. And when your estrogen gets too high, that's when most of the cancers start. That's when the issues happen. So estrogen, whether it be in a man or a woman, is very, very, very dangerous at too high of levels. So why? It's not because men, how are you producing so much estrogen? What you are, you're getting what's called xenoestrogens. What are those? Those are fake estrogens. Didn't exist 40 years ago. There was no such thing 40 years ago. But now it's being allowed everywhere. You're probably breathing it in right now from this carpeting. If you drink out of different, whether it be plastics and different steel and aluminums and all this, metalloestrogens. That means your deodorant you're putting on, the makeup. So we're going to talk about all these things. These are xenoestrogens. They're fake estrogens, phthalates, parabens. So these are all fake estrogens. So when they come into the body, the job of the liver is to go, okay, you're out of balance. So the brain looks at it and says, you have way too much estrogen. And the brain says to the liver, you need to methylate, break down all these xenoestrogens, and pull it out of the body. Everybody get that? So then it's the liver's job. Once there's so much excess estrogen, the liver's job is to methylate and pull it out of the body. You get it out. You urinate it out. Some of it's defecated out. Maybe pull it out through your skin. But you've got to get it out fast. So that's the brain's job to the liver's job. So we're constantly being bombarded. The reason why a lot of you have estrogen dominance is because, number one, your liver isn't functioning at 100%. Number two, you may have what's called a MTHFR mutation. Does anybody know what that is? Very important. That means your ability to methylate is very, very, very low. So that's why when you bring me in a patient with, especially with hormonal cancers, I'll run an MTHFR or have them run it, and you're never getting over cancer. I'll take somebody with a toxicity issue, a brain cancer, anything. If you don't run an MTHFR, I'll never know, right, if their body can get rid of toxins or estrogens or any hormones. So it's very important that testing is done. You guys get that. So xenoestrogens, they take the place. See, so estrogens bind to the receptor and tell it what to do. So xenoestrogens bind to the receptor and sending unintended signals. So it's doing very bad things compared to an E1, E2, they're different types of estrogens. So again, and then also when xenoestrogens take the place, so let's say my breast needs estrogen, so your breast still needs it. If xenoestrogens are there, then what's floating in your blood even more? You have more estrogens floating around, and it's just always floating. And you have all this excess estrogen in your body. So coffee, why? It's sprayed with xenoestrogens. It's sprayed. What they spray on coffee is xenoestrogens. Most of the foods you eat are full, those animals are full of hormones, right? They inject those cows, they inject animals with what? Hormones to get them to grow. So you're eating those things. Perfumes, these are phthalates, deodorants. Whatever you put on your skin goes into your bloodstream. If you can't eat it or drink it, you can't put it on your skin, right? Because it goes into your blood. These are all xenoestrogens, depending. Now, if you go to EWG.org, EWG, Environmental Working Group, and you plug in your makeup, you plug in your deodorant, you plug in, it'll tell you if it's safe or not. It's called EWG.org.
Real quick too, one of the best deodorants that I've ever found, just ran into it like a couple months ago, is it's on Amazon. You can get it. It's called In Vitamin, I-N, and then the word vitamin, and it's made out of coconut oil, baking soda, sugar, and like vitamin E. And it works really well. It's not going to clog up your pores. It lyses bacteria so well, so it's not going to make you smell. It works really well. You can eat it. That's what you want to look for. That's what EWG is all about. Is anything you put on your skin, you should be able to put in your mouth. Otherwise, it shouldn't be on your skin.
So why else are you producing too much estrogen? Because why? You're what? I didn't say it. You have more weight on you. So what happens is every fat cell of your body acts like an endocrine gland, and it starts producing more estrogen. So when you have extra weight on you, you have massive amounts of estrogen in your body. So not only do you have all this xenoestrogens coming in, now you have fat cells producing even more estrogen. That's why we see that when a breast cancer patient, hormone positive, begins working out, her chance of reoccurrence is almost zero. Like they don't get cancer again. Because why? She lowers down all of her estrogen levels faster. So fat cells produce estrogen, so it's very, 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 very important that we're bringing down the fat as much as we can to bring down the estrogen dominance. So how do you get rid of this excess estrogen that's all over, causing the fastest growing cancers right now in America, plus destroying everything in your body? We talk about it, it's your liver. It's your liver. Without a doubt, our livers are completely congested. If you live in the United States, unless you've already cleansed and you've worked with us, you have, I mean, when I'm working with anyone, whether it be a cancer patient, whether it be somebody with any type of issues, is if we don't get to the liver, we're not probably going to fix this. And the problem is your colon, remember, how does your liver get rid of most of its toxins? Through your colon. So most of you, your colon is backed up, or you're a little constipated off and on, or you're not going, you're going too much. Your colon is messed up. When your colon is messed up, the liver cannot detox through it. So the liver has to hold on to everything. It gets what's called congested. When your liver is congested, it can no longer metabolize hormones any longer. So when your colon is a mess, your liver is a mess, you can end up with cancers or anything else. You guys get that? Mm-hmm. So if we don't start going, okay, I can kill all your cancer, but it's coming back unless I do what? I got to clean out the colon, I got to clean the liver, I got to fix all your detox channels, we got to get the estrogen down, we're going to measure all this. There's a lot of work to it. If you guys get that, like, we just can't think we're going to take one thing or two things and we're going to be healthy and we're going to be amazing. I wish it was possible. So how do you get rid of excess estrogen? It's your liver, it's your liver, it's your liver. And so most of you, I mean, even today, most of you have already grabbed on, it's cell detox. So it's two parts. And most of you say, well, how do I get rid of that? It's two parts. If you're going to get rid of excess estrogen, some of you are going to need to do this a lot longer. Some it's one or two every 3 months they're doing it. Some are doing it once a month for 12 months. It all depends on how much estrogen and what's going on. So step one is we got to clean out your cells. Your cells are toxic, whether it be with xenoestrogens that bind to your cells, whether it be mercury, formaldehyde, aluminum, whatever it is, we got to clean out your cells. We take, in the morning, we take the first, which is called step one. We clean the cells out. Step one is we begin to increase glutathione in the liver. We start pulling everything out. Everything gets dropped in at nighttime to your colon. So when you're doing a right detox, if it's done right, you clean the cells, you stimulate the liver's glutathione. Glutathione is that magnet that helps bind everything, all your hormones. It puts it in your colon. And then when you go to bed at night, we take step two, which is a body detox, which is like charcoals, activated carbons, chlorellas, different stuff. And it binds like a magnet, and it pulls it out. So you go to the bathroom in the morning, and you got rid of all your toxins. And then you do it again the next night. So that's how it's done. I wish it was simpler. People go, can't I just take milk thistle? You could, but you're not going to bind. So milk thistle, or I can just give you injections of glutathione. Everybody heard of glutathione? I can give you an injection of glutathione. Glutathione will go, the liver then will go and grab onto all these toxins, put it into your colon, but then it recirculates right back into your body again. You have to pull it out of the colon in order to stay healthy. So that's the detox system. So everybody says, well, how does D3? D3 is a hormone. Vitamin D3 is a hormone. It's not even a vitamin. I don't know why they call it a vitamin. It's a hormone. Vitamin D3 is a hormone. It's made from what? All hormones are made from what? Cholesterol, right? So those of you who are on cholesterol drugs, you don't make very much D3. Your D3 levels are very, very, very low, much lower than anyone else's. Same thing. But a study in 2010 showed that high doses of vitamin D lowered estradiol, which is the bad estrogen. It lowered also progesterone. It got them back into balance again. That's what vitamin D does. So not only does vitamin D stimulate your immune system, the number one thing that helps all the hormones of your body, and also helps with your genetics and churns them on and off, we now know how it affects every hormone in our body. Breast cancer risk dropped 30%. 30%, that's a lot. No drug has ever done this. 30% with vitamin D levels were only 40 nanograms. I keep mine at 80. Yours should be between 70 to 80 nanograms. You guys should be testing every 3 months in the beginning, then every 6 months from then on. You have to know your D3 levels. You got to know, because that's what runs all the immune system and helps everything. Also, one study, 93% of women with infertility were vitamin D deficient. 93%. You think your doctor did a vitamin D test when he saw you couldn't get pregnant? They don't run those tests. Or they tell you you're 25, you're fine, or 20 nanograms. You need to be in the higher amounts, which is 70 to 80 nanograms. So vitamin D is crucial, whether it be for your immune system, whether it be for your hormones. Almost everything in the body, losing weight, everything is affected by vitamin D. I always say, everybody says, if I could only take one vitamin, what would it be? It's vitamin D, there's no question. It is number one. So, how much? We know based on Harvard's research that you need about 5,000 IUs a day, which is about a half hour in the sun, depending on who you are and your body type. And it's about a half hour in the sun, 7 days a week. But you got to have most of your skin showing, because that's how you make it. And I don't think most of you are going out in your bikinis and your Speedos. So it just doesn't work that way. Unless we're on vacation and we're wearing swimming suits, we don't make a lot of D3 anymore. So, and if you're darker complected, you make almost no D3 in the sun, because you can't get so my daughter. You put my daughter in the sun, she can be out there for 8 hours and nothing. She doesn't get red, doesn't burn. I put my boys in there, especially my redhead, it's a half hour, he's got to put a shirt on. He absorbs D3 so fast and makes it so much faster than anyone else. Because his body absorbs it quicker, it doesn't push it back up. Everybody get that? That's why we see in an African American or people who are darker skinned with different cancers, because of vitamin D3 is minimized a lot more in those people. Right? Because you can't. Like even my daughter needs to take more D3 than even my son if they were the same weight. Does everybody get that? So she will be more likely to have a lower D3 level. I know it's a little complicating, but the best thing to do is you test instead of guessing all the time. So now, what's the best one? You guys could go. The most affordable supplement is the one that works. Just so you guys know it. It's so hard. People come in, bring us supplements, and I feel so bad. Sometimes I tell you just finish what you have. I feel bad. You spent $9 on something like 6 months of D3. I'm telling you, it's all synthetic. If you guys all saw the 2020 reports and all this. They went through all the Costco's and all the different companies. These are not certified. These aren't certified, which means it has to go. If you want to take a supplement, it has to have a certification that it's been checked, it's authenticated, it has what it says it has in it. It has no fillers, no synthetics, and it comes from food. Our cells only know one language for vitamins, and it's food. God didn't say, "Oh, I'm gonna create vitamins and supplements, then I'm gonna create man and woman." What did He create first? He created food first. Then He created man and woman, right? Does everybody get that? So the reason why is because we have to get our nutrients from food. The problem is we can't do that anymore because our food, it takes between 25 to 40 apples you have to eat now to get one apple 30, 40 years ago. It's completely different. Everybody agrees. Our food is completely different. What's done to it from GMOs to everything else. So now we have to supplement, and the way we supplement is it has to be a food source supplement. It has to be food. So when you take a supplement, make sure you turn it over. You'll see in all of ours, it's coming from food. It's made from food. They're whole food nutrients. If that's only one thing you learn tonight, when you're taking a supplement, get it from a food. We also put in, if you're taking a vitamin D3, it's about absorption of it. We put 10 billion probiotics. We're putting more probiotics than most people can buy, and they're spending $10, $15, $20 on these probiotics. We put that in there so you can help absorb it. We put prebiotics, probiotics, for your immune health. So here it is, the estrogen dominance protocol, advanced plan, very important, which means minimize sugar, more fats. I mean, I'm going to make it simple. You should be eating very low sugar. Somebody came in today and said, "I'm eating oatmeal." He's got diabetes. He goes, "I'm eating oatmeal, I'm not eating any sugar." I said, "What did you eat for breakfast?" He said, "I eat oatmeal." What is that? It's all sugar. You know what I mean?
That's the one. Advanced plan is in the green book. Those of you guys that have the green book, chapter 4 in the green book.
So we're going to do more healthy fats, moderate proteins, and low carbs. The only carbs that I eat usually are from raw nuts and seeds. Brothers Nuts, you guys see those back there. That is all healthy fats, sprouted nuts, everything's digestible, all of the enzymes that you can't absorb have been taken out of there. I can absorb it, that's all my healthy fats. So I want to snack, and even in the office, I think every hour I was back there today snacking. So I snack, the best snack we could ever do is fats, and raw nuts give us that. So about the only carbs I'll get are from raw nuts and from seeds. Very rarely. Now I went 5.5 years of ketogenic. I didn't have sugars or anything. I'm a little bit able to slowly move away from it. Tasting much better right now. No, but I still don't get to have ice cream yet. So okay, so number 2, avoid xenoestrogen. So number 1, you got to change your diet. We're gonna go over sugar after the break here. Sugar, you guys are gonna really see how to fix your coffee. If you're gonna do coffee, I'm gonna show you how to do it right. I don't want you to do it, but if you're gonna do it, I'm gonna show you how to do it right after the break. I'm gonna show you what sugar is really doing to you, why it's holding on to weight, and what it does to your hormones. Omegas, why we have to make the right estrogens and get rid of the bad estrogens. Detox system, very simple. You've got to be detoxing. 30, 60, 90 days, you've got to flush out these. And then you get on a good D3. D3 is going to help balance out your hormones. We made it simple on an estrogen dominance. And most of you in this room will have estrogen dominance. If you've never detoxed, you've never cleansed, you're going to be estrogen dominant.
That's men and women, and then that's why we bundle all those 4 things. The detox, the D3, the max fit, and the omegas. So it's already set up as your fix your hormone bundle.
So we're going to talk about the HPA axis here, the nervous system. Obviously, those of you who are guests, we're going to check. We are not going right to break this time. Usually right after the chiropractic, we're able to in the nervous system. I'm going to be taking you through the thyroid, which everybody's really interested in, and then we're going to go right into break. So our break's going to be a little bit shorter today. Then we're going to be coming back. I have about 20 minutes on how to eliminate the 3 S's, the stimulants, how to help with your coffee, and go through all that.
And testosterone too.
Oh yeah, I'm going to testosterone then. It's really 1 slide, but no. You don't need much. It's really simple. So I'm not going to make it complicated.
What we're looking at here is this is like a case study mixed with those of you that have seen your own X-rays will understand this more than anyone else. A whiplash injury is so detrimental because of what it does to the neck right there. Because of what it does to the neck. And here's what happens. A whiplash injury has a negative effect on your stress response, your HPA, that adrenal axis. Because when there's damage on the spinal cord, is that happy or is it stressful? It's stressful. The problem is it's in your body and you can't run away from it. You know what I mean? You can take a vacation from work, but while you're on vacation after a car accident, your neck still looks like this. So you're still in a stress response. Make sense? This is a normal one right above it. That's a normal one right above it. And cortisol levels were blunted or low in the morning. This is after blood tests in the study. And had an altered rhythm later in the day. So they were off rhythm based on these people after whiplash injuries. So the whiplash happened, they measured the cortisol levels. The cortisol levels were irregular just based on a car accident.
And a lot of you are saying, I've never had a whiplash injury. We're going to show you almost every single person in here has had a micro trauma over time that's created the same exact thing.
Yeah. Usually, a lot of people both. Trouble getting out of bed in the morning, fatigue, poor stress tolerance, chronic pain, trouble going to sleep, staying asleep after a car accident. Okay? So here's how it happens. And we're going to go through this kind of quickly because a lot of you already understand some of this. The bottom line is, if you've never ever had your neck checked, it needs to be checked for this reason. So what controls the adrenal axis? What controls all your endocrine organs? Who knows? The brain. The brain controls everything. So what happens is, and this is what he's talking about, you've either been, a normal neck has a nice 45-degree lordosis, a curve where the spinal cord can relax. After a whiplash injury, after reading on your Kindle for 5 hours, sitting at your desk, now we see kids all day on the cell phone, sitting at home all summer playing video games, laying down, people sleeping with 2 or 3 pillows on their back or on their side like this. These are called micro traumas. So a whiplash is a macro trauma, fall out of a tree, something lands on your head at work. That's a big trauma. You know when it happened and there's immediate changes. 99% of you in this room, we're doing it to you right now by making you sit, are having micro trauma.
Because right now you're sitting on your lower back, which is damaging your adrenals. That's why we get so tired. That's why they told you in school, remember, sit up. When you sit up, you take some of the pressure off of there. That's why they put lumbar supports in your car while you're driving, because when your back goes back, you start damaging the nerves that are going into the
So
adrenals.
the problem is, if you sat for an hour, you're fine. Most of you are sitting 8 to 10 to 12 hours per day. From driving to work, sitting at work, sitting while you eat your lunch, go home, sit on the couch, eat dinner, lay in bed, read on the Kindle with your head down. That's most people's days. So you're sitting 12 hours a day in the wrong posture, micro trauma. No wonder you can't sleep. No wonder your energy's bad. No wonder when you damage the neurology, it causes a constant ping on the brain of that stress response. Fatigues the adrenals, congests the digestion, because remember what happens when you're under the stress response? Digestion slows. What happens when digestion slows? The liver gets congested. Estrogen levels elevate. Xenoestrogens are coming. So you start to kind of paint the picture and see why this happens. So as we go through and teach you on the supplementation, the number one thing that can change this is getting the neck and the lower back fixed and adjusted and taking that chronic stress response internally out of your body. Some of this is external, the carpet's external, putting off xenoestrogens, but internally, most of you that have never been checked look usually on average like this. I'd say out of 1,000 people that come in, how many look like this?
950.
So about 950. And it's because of our
I can have you all raise your hand. How many of your necks look like that? You're like, doesn't everybody look like that? When 20 years ago they did.
We have to watch out, we get jaded, you know what I mean?
20, I'm telling you, 20, I would say, and I've been doing this, I was in college seeing this. 20 years ago, it was 1, 2, 3 out of 10 that really bad necks we'd see. It's now 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 4-year-olds, 6-year-olds. I've never seen this in history. That's why Mayo Clinic now has said this is an epidemic. It's forward head posture syndrome, because we're doing this all day long now. We chronically destroyed our neck. We have so much ADD, we have so much disease, and we have so much everything else. And it all stems from one thing. Something we know it stems first from the nervous system.
Yeah, those of you with kids at home too, allergies, sinus problems, ear infections, problems focusing in school, anxiety issues, depression issues, this is always what their neck looks like. Always. And this is why. This trauma right here is the stress response, telling the body constantly. So the first step to take is, number one, is you need an exam where we run the heat scan and find everything
Just so you guys know, I know it's complicated to us, it's simple. That's the spinal cord. See how thick it is up top here?
This is your brain stem up here, this is your pons. As the brain stem comes down right here, this is the very top of your neck, where the back of your skull is.
That should be thick like this.
Right down here is a normal spinal cord thickness, and up here is what's called cervical tension, where the spinal cord is being stretched. It demyelinates in this flexed posture.
So you think that person on the right is healthy or sick? What if I gave him a whole bunch of drugs? What if I gave him a whole bunch of supplements? It doesn't matter.
What if they're 13 and they say they feel fine? They're still sick, they're just not symptomatic yet, so this is what we have to watch out for. And I mean, the symptoms go on. That's someone who's gonna have headaches, neck problems, menstrual problems, stress response, low back issues, we know that, dizziness, inner ear function, high blood pressure. Some of you guys so far have had all of these checked off in your head. And the problem is this, there's a medication for every one of those that you're on, and it's not one big pill, it's a bunch of little ones. And so if you're that person, you need to get a scan done immediately. Fatigue, depression, acid reflux, insomnia. Is someone with acid reflux breaking their food down properly? No way. Gut problems, hormone problems, stress response again. So those of you that have never been checked, we're going to give you the chance to get checked today. Not here, obviously, we're going to give you a chance to come in the office, but and those of you that are
I can check you here. A lot of you, I can already see your postures and that. You're dropping your left shoulder. We came in here with a purse pulling you down on one side. You're sitting crooked in there. I mean, we could probably check everybody's posture here.
But and a lot of you have already obviously been adjusted, and some of you guys have been adjusted and now are not getting adjusted. You need to get back in and get adjusted. Get back to sleep and everything again. But the way we set up is really easy, because we have too many people to come in right away in the next few days. So what we've done is, and you guys have seen it, those of you that registered as a guest, meaning you've never met us, you've never been to the office, we gave you the sheet you need to sign up for an appointment.
There's only one way to know you're really, truly healthy or sick. What do you need?
An X-ray.
What do they need, patients? You get an X-ray. You got to get a scan. You got to know what's going on inside of there. I always say we don't care if you live. There's people here from Indiana, just so you guys know. There's people here from Michigan. There's people here from Wisconsin, and most of these are patients. Just so you guys know that, who try, once a week, once every 2 weeks now. So we don't care where you live, where you're from. We do try to find somebody close to you that does the same work. The problem is what? You can't find anybody. But well, we tried. And we, oh no, how many do we send to another office and now you're back? You know what I mean? It's not that we don't want you in our office, but we try to get you out. And you keep coming back.
We tried. Anyways, but the way you do it is there's a sheet. It's orange here. Can I borrow yours real quick? I guess it's yellow. Let's not fight over it. It's yellow. So it's a yellow sheet right there.
It's colorblind.
The way it works is at the top you can put your name on there. There's only 3 things we need. It's really, really simple. You put your name at the top, you put your best phone number to contact at, and then what we're going to do is we're going to come around.
And all the
The
testing
team is going to be coming around.
because of the event. It's $40. You're getting it's $40 for all the testing. If you need to get from there an X-ray, we see anything on there. An X-ray in each area. We're going to do an X-ray in each area.
Yeah,
It's $40. Usually we only have to take 2 more areas. So
So what he's saying is if you need an exam and full X-rays, it would be $120.
yeah.
But not everyone needs a full set of X-rays depending on the initial evaluation, the scans, thermography, everything we run. So the initial eval is $40. Does that make sense? Some of you are going to need X-rays. It would be $120, usually sometimes $80.
Some of you have insurance, it may cover it, may not. But who do you want to take care of you and tell you what you need? Your insurance company or us? Who would you want taking care of you and tell you what you need and what you don't need? Me, Dr. Dan, or your insurance company? Or some 17-year-old.
Insurance is easy. You can just read your card and tell you what they're going to do.
Yeah, so
They have
we're
no
going
idea
to
what's
do.
going
So
on.
whether you have insurance or not has nothing to do with this. It has to do with getting you checked and getting you better. I can tell you this: if you don't get yourself healthy and fixed now, $120 is nothing compared to what it costs. Everybody knows how much this surgery cost. How much was that? Anybody remember? $420,000.
Oh.
So I should have been checked years ago. My mom's not here. I wish she was here to tell her. My mom's been her, just a side note, my mom's been her chiropractic since I was young. Her chiropractor didn't do this, didn't tell her to bring me in. I was never checked ever until I went to chiropractic school, didn't know nothing about it. And then, obviously, 6 years ago, ended up very, very, very sick and cancers and with weeks to live. That all could have been avoided if I was taught what you guys learned tonight. Would you guys agree that you guys have learned something that's absolutely going to change and save your life? But nothing is going to save your life unless you apply it. Nothing changes. A lot of you are going to be right where you are again. You guys back to this one, we'll talk. Right? In a year.
Well, and a lot of you too. I mean, especially women, moms, dads in the room. You guys are always putting yourself on the back burner. Nobody wants an exhausted mom. Nobody wants a sick mom when they're getting, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of you guys need to step up and realize this is your time to get healthy so you can be there for the people you love.
So the staff's
And
coming.
you're wondering where, I don't know, I gotta ask my husband, I gotta ask my wife if I can come in.
So you'll see the gas have a yellow sheet. Just walk up, go to everybody. So they're going to
So
come
all
up to
you do is you write your name, you write your phone number. They'll ask you what time works for you best, or you can circle on there like Mondays between 10 and 11 work well, or Mondays at 6 p.m. work well for me. You get it? You circle your times, and then we're gonna coordinate with you and find out when we can get you in as soon as possible. Make sense? Any questions?
So they're gonna come around. Everybody else just be quiet. I'm gonna keep going while they're talking. Don't worry. Some of you have been checked. Some of you haven't. If you haven't been checked yet, you're already getting checked. You don't have to start care. You just need to know whether or not you have damage and it needs to be corrected. That way you know. Some of you may not need any care. Hopefully you don't.
Now we're moving into thyroid.
So this is probably going to be the most fun part, but a little scary. So everybody else knows. Veronica will have to sit on the stand a little or bend down. Wait, so here's the importance of the thyroid. Your thyroid controls your metabolism. Your metabolism controls the heat of your body. It controls your energy of your body. Everybody understands that? So your thyroid produces hormones, and the thyroid then sends these hormones down to your cells. The cells then absorb thyroid hormone, and it creates metabolism. Let's just say they move. When your cells are doing this, they create energy. The more energy in your cells, the better your metabolism is. The more you break down foods, the more you break down fats. Everybody get that? So your thyroid, you have pituitary. Your pituitary tells your thyroid to produce hormones. These hormones then are absorbed by the cells. Now it's going to get really confusing here, but it's going to be very important to you. So too little thyroid hormone causes fatigue, increased sensitivity to cold. I'll ask you guys this, hey, are you having issues with cold? Are you feeling cold? Weight gain, puffy face, thinning hair, depression, impaired memory. So when your thyroid's messed up, it is not good. I mean, it's miserable. A lot of you know that. Okay, so and then let's look at the thyroid. So here's how it works. Your hypothalamus, which is in your brain, it sees the body needs thyroid hormones. So it releases thyroid hormone. It just releases it to the pituitary gland. So the brain tells the pituitary gland, hey, the cells need thyroid hormone. So brain recognizes it, right? Brain, spinal cord, nerves, that's why you guys are getting checked. The brain then recognizes your cells need thyroid hormones. So what your brain does is it tells the pituitary to start producing, it tells the pituitary to tell the thyroid to produce hormones. So the thyroid produces two hormones. So everybody knows what TSH is, right? Is TSH a hormone? Thyroid hormone? No. But what do your doctors measure when you guys go in for thyroid? What do they measure? It has nothing, it only has to do with how the pituitary is talking to the thyroid. And they say, oh, your TSH is fine. So you're fine. So the TSH then says to the thyroid, you need to produce T3, T4. There's more than T3 and T4. So now, T4, 90% of the thyroid hormone is from T4. 7% is T3. 3% is reverse T3. These are important to understand that. So here's the problem. When you guys have a thyroid issue, what drug do they put you on? Synthroid is what? T4 or T3? It's T4. All T4. Is T4 the active form or inactive form? Useless. Unless your body, your liver, can convert it to T3. Does everybody get that? So here's what happens. My thyroid produces 90% of the hormone my thyroid produces is T4. The problem is my cells cannot absorb T4 at all. T4 has to be converted first to T3, the active form. Now you guys get it? So T4 is useless unless it's converted to T3. You guys get that? Question on that.
And how does it do that?
The liver.
Okay.
The liver and a little bit of the digestive system. So if your liver's congested, you can never convert it. So if you guys are taking Synthroid, and your liver's, over time taking Synthroid, and your liver's going to be a mess anyway, because it's synthetic. If your liver's a mess, you're not making T3. It's useless. Do you guys get that? That's why I tell you, until we get the thyroid fixed, we need to get you on T3 hormone, which is made from what? Armour thyroid, or nature thyroid. Armour is T3. It's from a pig's thyroid. It's all T3. Now again, it's temporary relief until we fix it. Now, some of you, your thyroid's gone. Then you're going to stay on Armour thyroid the rest of your life. You're going to stay on T3. You're not going to mess around with T4. Number one, it's synthetic. Number two is you have to convert it. Your body has to do a lot of work. So T3, your thyroid only makes 7% of the hormones is T3, the active form. Reverse T3, 3%. When reverse T3 is high, it actually lowers T3. Reverse T3 is also inactive. You can't absorb it. So I know that's kind of gets confusing, but here's what you got to understand. The most important thyroid hormone is T3. T4 has to be converted to T3. That's all you need to remember. So for you to produce metabolism, your thyroid produces T4 and T3. T4 gets converted where? In the liver. If your liver is congested, it can't do what? It can't metabolize hormones. So if you don't fix your liver, it doesn't matter. You can't fix this. Now, what's the number one cause of thyroid issues? Does anyone know what the number one cause of all thyroid issues is? Autoimmune. Autoimmune. Almost every single one of you who have a thyroid issue, it's from an autoimmune issue. You have a leaky gut. Your gut is damaged. You get holes in your gut from all the inflammation. The gut is leaking proteins. The proteins are attaching onto your thyroid, and your immune system's attacking it, and it's destroying your thyroid. And so now it produces hypothyroid. If you don't fix the gut, or you don't fix the liver, you don't fix the thyroid. Now, how many of your doctors checked your gut and checked your liver before they put you on drugs? None. Right? That's not what they do. So you have to. So if you're going to really truly fix your thyroid, you got to look at fixing the gut. That's why a lot of you get on a probiotic and you start feeling amazing. And the reason why is because probiotics are that good bacteria, and you start to re-heal your gut population back. When you heal your gut again, now you slow down that leaky gut. Did you guys get that question on that?
When you have hyperthyroidism, when you're overactive,
so you're
Graves' disease,
so you're overproducing. Now Graves will happen from a lot of times. Now that will be a lot of times the pituitary telling the thyroid to keep producing. Now still we want to look at, okay, so why is the thyroid overproducing this hormone? And it overproduces it for different reasons as well. But a majority of every reason will be autoimmunity. Autoimmunity not only will always affect hypo, autoimmunity sometimes can affect hyper. Not always, but it can do that as well. So the number one cause of hypothyroid, autoimmune, leaky gut, toxicity issues. That's why we're doing detox, we're cleaning the liver. So I want to show you quickly before we go to break. Improper thyroid testing. If you guys go to the medical doctor, here's what they run. Does everybody know that? They don't even run all these. They run TSH, they'll run T4 and T3, and they'll say, oh, they're fine. Is that enough? Here's what needs to be run. Watch this. See the difference? If you want to know how your thyroid is functioning, that's what needs to be run. I don't know. I want to know about TSH and T4 and T3, but I need to look at cortisol. I need to look at thyroid binding globulins, antibodies, thyroid peroxidase. If you have TPA, if TPA is high, which are peroxidase antibodies, it means your body is attacking. We have 15 and 16-year-olds with high TPA. Their thyroid being attacked at 15 years old already. So you got to run TPA and TBGs. You got to look at the whole work. You got to look at reverse T3, because if reverse T3 is high, it's going to begin to shut everything else back down, right? Because you can't make the other ones as much if reverse T3 is high. So we want to measure all this so we can get a picture and set up a plan that works on that. So I know you guys want to take a picture of that. Now those of you who want to see this again. This will be in my YouTube channel, Dr. Charles Majors TV. But you have to give us, you guys are going to be filling out there's a sheet there for your email address as well. It's purple. The purple one is your email address. We're going to be sending you the link, because we got to get Dr. Dan's like the genius of the video. I'm horrible at it. It wouldn't even get done.
We'll see.
We'll see. Okay.
You'll just be able to hear it.
But if you guys go to our YouTube
there's
channel,
an email sheet on there. That's your email and turn it in. Yep. And then also there's the Dirty Dozen Clean 15. That's your shopping list to avoid these xenoestrogens.
I have probably 50, 60 different videos or seminars on it already, but this is the first one. So thyroid protocol, as we go to break here. Number one, you got to fix your nervous system. You got to fix the cervical curve. You don't have to curve back. Nothing matters. The advanced plan, we just talked about it. Gluten. That's why the advanced plan. Dairy is minimal. I don't like dairy, especially if you have an autoimmune issue, unless you can handle it. No gluten at all. What's gluten? It's a protein your body can't digest. D3 probiotics, amazing for thyroid. Omegas, again, that's how we make all our hormones, and you got to detox. So pretty much, if you look at that system, if I'm detoxing estrogen, I'm also helping my thyroid gland as well.
What causes thyroid nodules?
The nodules are created from autoimmune, right? So your body's attacking, creating this inflammatory reaction. Remember, the nodule is an inflammation. It's inflammatory.
So look at that. It's fix the nerve system, fix the gut, fix the liver. Those are the things.
You fix that, you fix everything. So
these are the protocols. So I just want to explain this because it'll expedite the process and make the rest of the evening very easy. So there's 2 bundles tonight. One is for adults essentially, and that's the one you're looking at here. That has the omegas we talked about, healthy fats, the D3 with probiotics, the max fit for cortisol, and then the detox for your liver to pull all the estrogens and xenoestrogens out. So these are 15% off today, and the way we're doing it is, so we can do that is, they're all pre-ordered. So you'll turn in your order form, there's a slot on there to type, there's a bundle sheet, it has a whole separate, it has the pictures on there. What you do is you put the quantities in. If there's 2 adults, you'll need 2 bundles. Make sense? So we're doing 15% off, so it's $150, $164 today for those. You gotta order them today because we're getting them ordered at the end of this week. We'll order them by the end of this week. They'll be ordered tomorrow, and they'll usually arrive about a week and a half.
Kind of the end of the week.
True.
Tomorrow's Thursday now.
That's what I'm saying. They'll be ordered tomorrow.
They get ordered tomorrow, they come back in, we
So that's how you order the bundles. All the other supplements on the list are 10% off. And we have a bunch of them here you can pick up and take home with you. Those are not only pre-ordered.
You can grab anything that's here, you guys are taking it. But also,
number 2 is
this is powerful. We just finished our Max Kids line. I know a lot of you, your kids are on it. My kids are on it. This is what they do in the morning. The Kids Min, it's kind of your multi-mineral vitamin for kids, gives them all their minerals. The Bio-D emulsion, that's how they absorb obviously their D3, it's liquid. And then you have Max Kids, it's a detox powder, phenomenal. It's a softer, easier detox for kids. So it's not gonna be like ours. It's gonna be a lot easier, Caleb, you guys don't have that need. You guys aren't in the bathroom all day long with that detox, right? So, and then we have a kids probiotic. Taste, I mean, again, my kids are a little different, but it tastes really good the way it was created. So we created this line for kids. This will last you, just so you guys know, this, like the adult one's gonna last you probably a month. This will last you a lot longer for kids. You can actually do one, if you do one for 2 or 3 kids, it'll last you probably a month. Because that D3 is gonna last a while. Your kids don't need that much. It's like 180 servings.
Some of the kitty mints too.
Kitty mints will last a while. The probiotics, like 90 servings, I think, in each one of those. So they're created to last a little bit longer.
This is all preventative, so they don't end up like most of you that are not.
Yeah, and on this package, a lot of people, like I think, who was it? Holly? One of you guys bought like 6 months worth. Is that what you bought last time? Those 6 months? I think it was 6 you bought last time. Because a lot of people will get 3 months, 4 months in advance, 5 months in advance. That's fine. We're not going to put a limit on it this time.
No, because we're pre-ordering, we can do that.
We're pre-ordering. Just so you know, so everybody says
and you would start doing all these, we always get questions, how do I take it and what amounts? You follow the bottle on all of them except for the Max Fit. Like we were telling you, most of you are going to avoid the morning dosage on the Max Fit because you want that cortisol to be
we're going to
high.
go to a quick 10-minute break, but I'm telling you, I'm just going to give you a little insight. We're going through the 4 S's. I'm going to teach you about coffee. We have about 15 minutes left on there. I'm going to teach you why and how you can drink coffee.
We have, so supplements are over here.
Supplements, water, you guys know. We got the Best Home Water System. Brothers Nuts is here. Dr. Moss is here for testing. Any questions you have on testing, you ask Dr. Moss.
Yeah, testing we have available now to run the Dutch test, which is the most high-level hormone test you can possibly run. Cortisol, estrogens, it's looking at breakdown, metabolites, that's all Dr. Moss over here, as well as D3s. Everybody go.